Hey, Foot Clan, do you think you know what's going to happen this weekend in fantasy football? Do you think that you can outdraft us and other Foot Clan listeners? Well, this is what you need to do. You grab the Draft app on iOS, on Android right now. You get it installed, and you enter the promo code BALLERS because that's going to put you directly into leagues with Foot Clan listeners and us included. They got weekly snake drafts going on the Draft app. Add to the excitement this weekend only with the Draft app.
Hey, yeah, this is Chris and Michael with the Seattle Seahawks, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Open your eyes.
America, I made it. I'm still alive.
Yeah, everyone was wondering how you
made it through.
Survive the night waiting for the Kristen Michael interview.
Well, I spent we didn't do the video of the interview. If we did, you would have seen me ask a question, grab the paper bag, breathe into
Take a couple breaths.
so I can prevent from hyperventilating.
I had the defib machine ready.
Just in case.
We were prepared.
Yeah, Kristen Michael on the show today.
Yeah.
That's the headline. This is going to be a great show. We've got Keep Trade Cut. We've got Kristen Michael on the show. We have our Foot Clan mailbag. We've got a Thursday night preview.
Yes, we're bumping the Thursday night up to
Yes.
Wednesday by popular request.
Popular request. People wanted to hear about, because sometimes the show, you don't get a chance to listen to it before the Thursday night game. And so we're bumping that up because we're listening.
Yeah.
Because we want to talk about the Dolphins a day early. As early as possible. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So very excited. We have a quick question. Actually, it's more of a public service announcement. We had a listener email us in about his situation in his league, and it's always great to talk about. I think that's one of the things that makes this show unique, is that we're not just spouting off about players and players alone. Like, we talk about commissioners and leagues and rules and making your league better.
Fantasy football.
Yeah, that's what fantasy football is. It's not just, I'll digress. But we're going to talk about that, and so I'm very excited, and obviously we're going to get to the Kristen Michael interview later on. And I'll just say this beforehand. Very cool. Very cool guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just been through a lot of things, gone through the kind of the circle of life in the NFL.
You know what it seems like?
And yet coming out on the end that so few do when they go down that road.
Yeah, honestly, it seems to me like he's had an awakening. I mean, all jokes aside, that's
right.
what it seems like.
Right.
He really has woken up, and that's
around,
great for the show.
If you're around the game enough, you can listen to people, and you can kind of get a pretty quick sense of how they treat the sport and the game and their teammates and those type of things. I mean, just listen to the way a Tom Brady or a Larry Fitzgerald or the pros talk about the game, and you can tell right away what kind. J.J. Watt, who we'll talk about in the news today, those type of pros, and so it'll be very cool. I think you guys will enjoy the interview. Maybe not as much as Mike did.
Because that's impossible.
That's an impossibility. So here's what we have going on in the quick question today, and I'll let you guys speak to this. Spencer wrote in, and he's from Denver, Colorado, and he said, "Look, this week the commissioner of his league cheated.
Big time.
Cheated. Now, this is a buy-in league, right?
$130 buy-in league. The only guy he knew was the commissioner. Mike, you know the most about this question.
Yeah, so Spencer wrote in, and he just was he's beside himself because he has no options. He doesn't know what to do. He only knew the commissioner. Here's what happened. Apparently the commish dropped the woke one because the commissioner clearly is not listening to this show, which is foul number one for this commissioner.
Sure.
But so he drops C Mike, and our boy Spencer had a waiver claim in to get C Mike. Lo and behold, Kristen Michael ends up back on the commissioner's team
before the Sunday games.
Through
and he had a waiver claim on him.
Yes. So there was some other things, some shady things happening. Well, Spencer did the right thing. He stood up, stood his ground, called out the commissioner, and the commissioner replied with, "You're out of the league."
Whew. Ooh, man.
And
so
the commissioner's name is Will.
Yes, this is all we know. So Foot Clan,
not that you're listening, Will.
Well, Will's not listening.
We know that.
But maybe other people, if there was a Spencer from Denver, Colorado, and
All of a sudden he's
all of a
gone
sudden
from
he's
your
gone
league.
from your league, like reach out because this guy needs some help. A fellow Foot Clan member is wounded and needs your help.
Yeah, we're here for the people. It's always funny to see like league mates that are trying to find out if other people in their league listen to the show. I had I had someone post to me this question or this image of their text communication from them and a friend. He was trying to figure out if they listen to the show, and so he texted his friend. He said, "Hey, if I had a drink that was half Sprite, half lemonade, what would the name of that drink be?" And the friend texts back, "What?" Apparently,
You're
not
safe.
listening-
Then
he's
you're
not
safe.
listening to the show. He doesn't know.
Yeah, you can find out with Oreos. You can find out with the David Johnson song. There are different ways to kind of test the waters and see if people
Yeah, but
know
if
what's going on.
If you're in that league, reach out. We're here for you, Spencer.
All right. Well, yeah, and as far as you, Will, as a commissioner, you're shameful. And if you were a commissioner of one of these Foot Clan leagues that we promote, we would remove our endorsement from your league henceforth.
Got him.
Got him. All right. Follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. Hey, if you have been listening to the show for a long time on iTunes, you love listening to the podcast, you can check it out on YouTube as well. We record all the shows, and you can actually watch them. Mike is waving into the camera here. And so we have a YouTube channel you can subscribe to. We encourage you to do that. Yesterday, I put a trailer up for the Kristen Michael interview, which I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was good. Also, you hear us talk about the show after the show. Sometimes we have ridiculous stories and things about that. That's only on YouTube. So if you've ever wondered, where is that thing?
Where is that thing?
YouTube.
I've wondered. You wondered that yesterday. You didn't have your laptop here.
No, and I still got through the show.
Yeah. You were papers only.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive.
It was like the 90s.
It was like the 1990s. All right, you can also
1890s.
you can also find us on Patreon, jointhefoot.com, our fantasy community, and the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Lots of articles going up there. Very neat stuff like snap count articles and stuff like that. Congratulations to Jason once again in the top 10 accuracy rankings.
Congratulations.
Very impressive. People, if they get entertained by this show, they might wonder how accurate we are. Look, we're
doing all right.
accurate. So you get it all. You get it all. So
3 weeks in, so far we've had 3 top 10s.
all right, we're going to jump into news and notes, and then we're going to get into Keep Trade Cut and the Kristen Michael interview. So here we go.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, let's start here.
What? What is?
Joique Bell is back.
He's back!
There's not many shows where Joique Bell is going to be the headliner. Of
No,
the
you
news.
need to use your Joique Bell related sound effects when you have them. Signed by the Bears. Look, to me, this is obviously a concession speech to the long-term injury to Jeremy Langford. You don't go sign a depth play in Joique Bell.
Well, Kadeem Carey's
I was-
also banged
I was
up.
going to say, it affirms to me, very, very similar to your line of thinking, that Kadeem Carey is not going to be there. So when I heard that Joique Bell was signed, I had a lot of people say, oh, should I worry about, signing Howard? And I thought, no, this bumps Howard up to me, because now I know that Kadeem Carey, who I would have been much more scared about than Joique Bell doesn't know the offense yet. He's coming in because he's a veteran, and they have no other running backs.
Yeah, he's a jag.
Yeah, just a guy.
Well, he was also on the couch.
Sure. So let me ask you this, because if that tells you that Kadeem Carey is probably going to miss a week, I know our rankings come up on the website later tonight, and you can check those out on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Would you rather play? Because, look, I know you guys think Jamal Charles might be back, but for a moment, indulge me in my way of thinking. I do not think Jamal Charles will be back out on the field. Would you rather have Spencer Ware? Okay, Spencer Ware is at Pittsburgh and had like 76% of the snaps last week, or take a shot with Jordan Howard this week.
Ooh.
And Jordan Howard's got Detroit
In
at
Chicago.
home. But he's Jordan Howard. We haven't seen it. Spencer Ware, he had a big week 1, okay week 2, 3. Would have had a better week if he didn't fumble into the end zone last
Sure.
week. But
my initial gut reaction is Ware by a hair.
Ware by a hair.
I like it, and I think I'm on board with that.
All right. Tyler Eifert expected to miss week 4 against the Dolphins.
Yes, there's conflicting reports out there, but this is what we are hearing, that Eifert will not be playing.
He's putting up consistent stat lines this year.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. You
0.
know exactly. We've all had him ranked perfectly so far.
Sure. NFL.com's Mike Garofalo reports Sammy Watkins will test out his injured foot on Wednesday and Thursday to see if he's available. In other words,
Yeah. Ugh. I hope he rests. Get it right. Get it tight. Get it right, Sammy Watkins. We need the elite Sammy Watkins back.
Mike Tomlin expects, quote, a lot of Lev Bell against the Chiefs in Week 4.
What?
I've already put
What?
my Le'Veon Bell rankings together this week, and I had projected him for a lot of work, like in the 24 to 25 carry range, plus, Jason said it on the show a couple days ago. Lev Bell is healthy. He played in the preseason. He's missed time only due to suspension. And after what we saw in Philly last week, this is a get-right game at home against the Chiefs this week. It's something where I'm expecting to have to see Alex Smith throw the ball because I don't think they're going to be able to stick with what we see on that offense with Lev Bell back.
Sure.
Now, Eli Rogers will probably not be on the field. He's wearing a boot on his left foot right now. Very questionable for Week 4. Probably not out there. Mohamed Sanu is expected to be fine for Week 4.
With his shoulder.
With the shoulder injury.
And I will piggyback on there. The Matt Ryan kind of thumb injury that he got during the game, everything I've read is that he's perfectly fine.
And I will piggyback on there and just say that
That's a 3 piggyback. You sure this is safe?
Yeah,
It's not safe.
The Atlanta Falcons are very good right now to trade or cut. In my opinion, I'm not talking Julio, but
that
Matt
segment
Ryan
is approaching, Jason.
Oh, that's true. We'll
we have
we'll
a segment
hold off.
called Keep Trade Cut
and
in
I'm
a moment.
sure we're gonna have some Falcons in there. Spoiler.
Now,
I
one
think
thing we
trade or
did
cut.
not get to talk about was Julio Jones pooping his big boy pants because he was on the Monday night game. So staying in the vein of the Falcons, Mike, got defeated by one catch by Julio Jones.
Thank you for bringing that back up.
Is there concern about Julio Jones? There are owners of Julio Jones that expect far more than one catch.
I don't think so. I think we had the he was still very heavily targeted, but we also
You think Clooney and Wahlberg were at,
maybe
in New Orleans for that game?
No,
And it
they're
was
too.
just
They have not left Seattle yet.
okay.
But I think we just that was the Megatron distraction scenario there, where Julio's out there. We knew he was banged up with a calf strain.
So no concern about that? If
Yeah, I
that's
was
the
gonna say-
reality,
I'm
why
saying
wouldn't there
there's-
be great concern?
There's concern, but I'm not gonna freak out over that one game and say, oh well, Julio's done. I'm gonna bench him.
My Twitter feed has been freaking out. A lot of Julio owners realizing that their upcoming schedule is really bad. When you factor in the fact that a guy has a bad game, and then you look at his matchup and he's going up against Carolina, and if you're somewhat astute and you look the next few weeks and you go, oh man, he's got a stretch of awful matchups, you might be able to buy Julio cheap. And when people ask me, should I be worried? I
But
say,
buy him cheap after that stretch?
No, I'm saying buy him cheap now.
I don't want
or
him now.
or during that stretch.
Carolina, at Denver, at Seattle. I don't want him right now.
Yeah.
Because I think look, one game versus 3 games that are kind of lower. He might be able to perform against Carolina, Denver, and Seattle. He is Julio Jones. I just don't know how you
Well,
if you get him, he's injured and he's got bad matchups. Isn't that a scary place to play
It's
him?
possible, but
that's
Or
where
is that the sell you're saying?
No, I think, yes, exactly. You can get him for a price that you can never get Julio Jones for because of those things, and you're taking on that burden. If you're a team that right now you're sitting 3-0 and you need to upgrade that position, I think maybe you could take that slight hit. And look, Julio Jones, he should be okay. Last year at Carolina in the playoffs, everyone was scared. He had a great game.
And here's the thing. Freeman and Coleman will not be able to go full double trouble against the Panthers. They're not going to be able to run like that like they did against the Saints. So you're going to have to use Julio more.
All right. Bad news for the Texans defense. J.J. Watt on injured reserve with a back injury. This news broke late yesterday. Very unlikely he even returns this year. There is a chance he could return, but surgery might be necessary on the back. And a really unfortunate break for a team that's already missing Brian Cushing. They are at home against Tennessee, so I expect good things from the defense this week, regardless of J.J. Watt's appearance. But as far as viewing them as the upper echelon of defenses long-term this year, look, you can't take J.J. Watt off a team or Von Miller or those type of players and not have that directly impact the numbers that they're putting up on defense.
I think this almost, as weird as it is, for the average fantasy football player, this actually helps them in the sense that too many people grab a fantasy defense and they think it's a good defense and they play them week in, week out, regardless of matchup. I think, how many teams would you say you're starting regardless of matchup?
Defensively?
At the defense special teams
Seattle,
position?
Denver, and Minnesota right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's my exact 3.
And I thought it was going to be Houston at the beginning of the year, but
right. And so now you realize Houston probably shouldn't have been that already. The Jets, those type of teams. Look, you still play matchups. And so, I think people need to be more willing to pick up.
I don't want to play a matchup.
I know. People just don't want to do that. They don't want to pick up worse teams in good matchups, but that's the way you win at the defense special teams.
All right, and the last bit of news, big one. We didn't mention him yesterday. Kenneth Dixon looks like he may be ready to practice. Baltimore running back.
If he's available, we've talked about this for weeks. If Dixon is available, I'm stashing him.
Yeah, absolutely. He probably won't play this week. If he does, he won't do much, but he's coming.
Okay. You guys ready to get into what do we got going next? Keep trade, cut?
Yep.
But I have to know where the drop is for that, right?
If you
Correct.
want to play it.
Keep trade cut.
See, this is the appropriate time for you to talk about the Falcons, Jason.
You want to bring up some Falcons players so I can talk about them?
We're gonna skip the Falcons on Keep Trade Cut today. So look, Coleman, Freeman are immediate. If I have them on my roster, I am trying to trade them this week. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'm making offers with them in it, and the reason why, especially Freeman, right? Because Freeman was a big name coming into the season. He was the #1 running back last year. He's been okay this season, and he just had a monster game. There is belief in Freeman that he is fine, that he is a top-tier running back, and if he is truly going to net a value of a top-tier running back, you're not going to get that over the next 4 or 5 weeks. We talked about that. The matchups are tough.
Exactly. Those
Split
matchups.
backfield.
Yeah. I mean, you're just not going to have a fantasy game like the New Orleans Saints on a regular basis. So it's like if you want to trade him next week or the next week or the next week, you're not going to get what you get right now for either of those guys. There's no doubt for me they're a trade.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I would.
I know Mike is a hold.
I would hold Freeman, and I would probably hold Coleman if I can get something because Coleman scored 3 touchdowns this week. I'm okay with that, but I would hold on to Freeman. How has this happened? How has this happened that I was the anti-Freeman guy and I'm the only one holding on to him now?
The same way that I have C.J. Anderson in our League of Record after trashing you about C.J. Anderson. New information, Mike. New information.
Very fair.
Look, you guys probably don't know this. I'm into fantasy football on a regular basis, and so I follow the players. And there's nobody that I'm more interested in your opinion about, genuinely, than this guy. Keep, trade, cut,
Excited.
Dez Bryant.
Ooh. All right.
Because the variables are innumerable with Dez Bryant.
For me, Dez Bryant has been a guy that this last week, and keep in mind, news just broke this morning, he's not practicing today. This week,
Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
Sure. This week, I have made a couple offers for Dez Bryant in a trade for, again, value is low. You got a backup quarterback. He hasn't been good. He's injured. That sounds terrible. But when I look, and I'm in a little bit of a different situation in the sense that right now in our league record, I'm 3-0. I'm looking perhaps a little too early ahead at the fantasy, the playoff schedule. But there are not a lot of wide receivers this year that I like in that week 13, 14, 15, 16 range. And, the Giants, Tampa Bay, and Detroit. Those are the 3 games that Dez Bryant, probably with Tony Romo, play in those matchups. So if you can get him cheap and stash him, I think Andy right now is like clicking accept on a previous trade for Dez. That would be my opinion. I do think you're going to have to struggle through him for a little while. He's not going to
right
help.
Through him? You have to bust directly
You're
through
gonna
him.
struggle through the
right
games
through him.
the next couple of
He's
weeks
very
having
meaty.
Dez Bryant.
He's a meaty guy.
Very thick. It's hard to get through.
That's my thoughts. Anybody disagree?
No, I love it.
I'm terrified of paying Dez Bryant's name price.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that he has, a potential MRI coming on the knee, day-to-day on that injury, still coming off the foot. rookie quarterback that's thrown, I think, 1 touchdown in the year.
That would be correct.
So
it was to Dez.
It was to Dez. Yeah, so I appreciate the opinions, Mike. Do you want to share any Dez feelings?
I keep Dez if I have him. I don't know if I'm going as far as Jason to try and trade for him.
Dez or Emmanuel Sanders rest of the season?
Dez.
Oh, Dez.
Dez or Kelvin Benjamin rest of the season?
Kelvin.
Dez or Stephon Diggs?
Ooh, that's interesting. That one is interesting. It's probably Dez, but if I don't know when Romo's coming back.
Dez or Will Fuller?
Dez.
Okay. All right. Well,
so
we have a few more names to get to before the Kristen Michael interview.
Yeah, you want to know the name to get to this week? It's going to be Melvin Gordon. And the reason I bring him up is because
are you drafting him?
Yes. This week he is going to be one of my if not he might be my number 1 guy in the draft app, and he might not. But he's up there because he kind of disappointed a little bit. He was salvaged this last week by that touchdown. But Melvin Gordon's matchup this week, goodness gracious.
Juicy?
You just saw the Twins.
Oh, the Saints.
The twin
he
running
plays
backs.
the Saints, doesn't he?
Yeah, the Falcons just destroy the Saints. And this week coming up, he's got the New Orleans Saints. So on the draft app, everybody out there, look, I assume you're playing draft with us, right? If you are not, you have a cell phone, download the draft app.
Get in on it.
It's free. You can get it on Android or on mobile.
Now, is that 1-900 draft app? Is
Android or mobile.
Wait, that's not it.
Android or iPhone.
It's playdraft.com/ballers if you're on a computer, or it's just the iOS or App Store for downloading the draft app.
That'll put you in leagues with us. And the cool thing there is you only draft 5 guys. So you're talking about the creme of the creme. Creme de la creme,
yeah.
There you go. The cream of the crop, the top of the top.
You can look. You don't have to do a cream of the top. You can go head to head with someone. You get in an expert league, and they chop out the top ranked guys. So you got to get deeper. Your knowledge.
But
of
you can
fantasy
challenge
football
us
has
head
be-
to head too. Anybody in the draft app can challenge us head to head. We'll share those links on Twitter, or you can just I think you just go to playdraft.com/FFHitman.
It's Jason FFL.
Jason
Wow,
FFL.
That's fancy.
And what am I in there as?
Fantasy Reaper.
I'm in there as Fantasy Reaper. So you can challenge us directly. Every single person that challenges us, we will play against you. That's our promise. So check out the playdraft.com app. We also want to take a second to thank today's sponsor. We tell you how to upgrade your team every day of the week. I mean, that's our job. We help you upgrade your fantasy football team. You upgrade your car, you upgrade your phone, you upgrade your TV. But when's the last time you upgraded your underwear?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Recently for me.
How many of you would like to show your underwear to any other human being in the world, or have you had it for the last 10 years? So we're here thanking our sponsor, telling you about Tommy John. No, not the surgery, not the arm injury, the revolutionary men's underwear brand that has redefined comfort for guys everywhere, including all 3 of us on this show.
Truth.
I need more of it, to be honest.
When you went home with your pair, you came back the next day and said, I would like all of this all the time.
that is what I said.
Right?
I have a hard time. I don't want to admit this, but I have a hard time not wearing them in back-to-back days.
Ooh, yeah. Well, look, I understand because Tommy John's patented design, and not many products can say this, their 21st century design on underwear makes it impossible to get a wedgie. It is an impossibility, a scientific impossibility with Tommy John. They are the most comfortable, the most well-made, ultra-lightweight fabric for maximum breathability. We have tried lots of different underwear brands, but the perfect fit is Tommy John, absolutely. And they have a lot more than just unbelievable underwear. They have undershirts that go on like a second skin. They don't ever come untucked. We talked to these guys, and they made this product to fix the problems that come with men's underwear, undershirts, and other products like that. So listen, hurry to TommyJohn.com/ballers to experience life-changing comfort and get 20% off your first order. Woo! That's TommyJohn.com/ballers. Ballers. For 20% off. TommyJohn.com/ballers. So back into Keep Trade Cut. I am afraid to bring this guy's name up. I feel like if you do, it's like saying Voldemort or something. Ryan Mathews right now. I mean,
yes.
Now, you said you were going to bench him this week, Mike, and I said, look, don't bench him because if you do bench him, he'll put up better numbers than he did when you started him.
On his bye week.
I would certainly bench him this week.
Well, that's the joke, Jason, is he gave me negative points. He would give me more points
on his bye week than he did last week. So keep trade cut Ryan Mathews in the bye. I don't think you're going to have a high demand out there. So for me, it is a keep and hope. Keep and hope.
It's a full-on keep for me. He's got the bye week, so we have about 2 weeks for him to really get healthy. He is an enigma for me right now. We saw the 20-plus carries week 1, the talk of, okay, we're going to feed Ryan Mathews, and then they kind of shroud in secrecy of that Ryan Mathews is more injured than they've told anybody. He gets very limited snaps, still scores 2 touchdowns, so you're happy. You go to week 3, carries it twice for negative yards, and they get him out. So
you have news coming out, I believe this morning, about Doug Peterson and his praise on Wendell Smallwood. That Wendell Smallwood ran like the guy that they hoped that he would be from college, a big, powerful, one-cut downhill runner, and he had a pretty good game. So I mean, he's another name to monitor and pick up. He'll be available. Not a lot of people probably picking him up because they're on bye.
Do you guys have waiver claims on Smallwood this week?
I do not.
I do not, because my team is so good. It's really hard to drop someone.
All right. Tajae Sharpe, keep trade cut.
Trade.
Kendall Wright back this week. If you can get something for Sharpe,
it
might be time to. They said he was inconsistent last week. The coaching.
Was he?
The coaching staff said that. So a little bit of a backward step for Sharpe on an offense that doesn't seem like they can do a lot. So
I'm going to trade.
Keep trade cut.
I would trade if I can get something for him, but he is a guy I would cut. Honestly, if I needed someone, there was, Jordan Howard's on waivers. A lot of people are like, who do I let go of? Sharpe.
Keep trade cut Derrick Henry.
Oh, keep.
Really?
Oh, keep.
Oh, that's a lot of keeps.
There is no chance. If you cut Derrick Henry, my team is great. I am picking Derrick Henry up, and I am stashing him on my roster.
Would you cut Derrick Henry for Jordan Howard?
No. Well, unless if I had to have a start, if I've got a lot of injured running backs, I would
You think the long-term this year value of Derrick Henry is greater than Jordan Howard?
Yeah. I had such man love coming into the year for DeAndre Washington as one of those backups that could really take over at the end of the year if an injury happens ahead of him. But Jalen Richard is really eaten into that. I've got DeAndre Washington on my team. I would cut him and pick up Henry if the opportunity were there, because he's been really good. And if DeMarco Murray doesn't stay healthy, DeMarco Murray has a long past of injuries. We forget it used to be Ryan Mathews and DeMarco Murray as the injured running backs you can't trust. Then he's currently had a pretty good stretch of health.
But Jason,
yeah, give it to me, boys.
Isn't Jeremy Langford already hurt?
For the Jordan Howard
yes.
comparison?
So Jordan Howard seems like a really good option because he's already.
That's where I'm saying if I needed to start now, but I think that the Chicago Bears offense is never going to be able to do anything by comparison to what Derrick Henry
really
would do.
Dead last horrible Tennessee offense.
Derrick Henry has just impressed the heck out of me. Jordan Howard.
We're gonna agree to disagree, and
crazy.
If you would like to water bet a rest of season between the two,
no, because
I will give you some.
I'm
he's
not
betting
saying
on the upside. He's
yes,
right.
Yes,
he's betting on injury.
Yes, I'm saying that. Here's what I'm saying. An injury in front of Jordan Howard, and you have a
which
spot,
has already taken place,
which has happened, which is why if I needed a play, I would cut Henry to play Jordan Howard. I already said that. But if I don't need that play, an injury in front of Jordan Howard will make Jordan Howard a good spot start. An injury
you don't
in
know
front,
yet.
I'm projecting here that it would make him a good spot start. I like Jordan Howard. I would pick him up. I've got waiver claims on him in several places. But an injury to DeMarco Murray, and I think Derrick Henry goes full ham. I think he is.
And eggs?
It goes full ham and eggs, sure. That's what I'm saying. So for me, I'm not cutting Derrick Henry.
Pause. Time out.
Time out.
We talk about our league of record here and there. I want predictions from what you thought was spent for the Vikings defense in our league of record.
Oh, man.
Fab dollars.
I put in the largest bid I think I've ever put in on a defense.
You put a $15 bid in.
Yeah.
Oh, then I lost. I had it at 11. I actually dropped it down to 9.
I did not get him.
$53.
What?
Oh,
$53.
You can have them.
$53 to
Wow.
the minty fresh aquafish.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
So
You want to go get them?
Look, went and signed him. So there you go. Back to keep trade cut. Mike, Chris Ivory, keep trade cut.
Oh.
Let's see how much your tune has changed.
Well, my tune was simply that Yeldon was so bad, I'm going to get Ivory on the hope that maybe he can do something. I will probably keep him, but this is a bad situation in Jacksonville. They can get nothing done in the running game. Probably, I would say that is directly related to the fact that their passing game has not been what we were hoping for and expecting. Even though, I guess last year was just a lot of that garbage time. So if you can only throw in garbage time, you're not going to be able to run the ball very well either.
Now, was it Chris Ivory in the London game that went
Yes.
crazy? Because he's going to a London game this week again
Oh, you sound like you're from London.
against the Indianapolis Colts. So
You think he can surpass the 8 for 12 he ran last week?
yeah,
Against
I
the
think-
Colts?
I think
Sure.
he can do that. So I'm gonna keep Ivory. Hope he has a big London game against the Colts, and then probably look to move him.
He's a trader cut for me. Marvin Jones, keep trade cut. Very big opinions here because Marvin Jones is the number one fantasy wide receiver. Huge game. I keep Marvin Jones.
I keep him.
I do as well. I'm not going to trade him because I think he can be a wide receiver 1 the rest of the year.
All right, keep trade cut. LeGarrette Blount.
Oh, trade.
See, I'm keeping him.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he's going to be great this week. And then I think Tom Brady's going to come back and they're going to throw the ball down everyone's throats. And so right now you can get value for him, so I'm going to try to get that value.
Keep trade cut. Let's go with a couple more guys. Let's talk about Alshon Jeffery.
Oof.
Yeah, tell me. Asking for a friend here.
I would, if I have the option. I'm assuming in the game. I'm making the assumption of someone has offered me something decent for Alshon Jeffery. I'm gonna keep him. The upside of Alshon Jeffery is a top 5 wide receiver. These injuries.
If he does not stay healthy again this year, you're going 2 straight years of upside talk. Would you give up at that point?
After the 2 years, I still probably wouldn't because that'll be 2 straight years of injury. But he had 2 straight years of playing every single game before that.
Yeah, and
whatever happens can happen in reverse.
I'm going to throw this out there.
Is that true?
That's what we say.
The fact that Alshon Jeffery has been hobbled, you can see it. He has not. Last year he was hobbled, but when he was in the game last year, he was still great for fantasy. And so far this year, he's been okay. In our half-point PPR scoring system, he had double digits, and then 9.5. And he's currently hobbled. So his upside is there, and I think while you hold on to him, unlike some of these other holds, he's not going to crush you. He's not going to just murder your team.
All right, it is time. And look, I was going to go with our standard interview intro music, right?
Oh.
You talking to me. However, I'm not going to.
Oh,
audible. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with Mike's custom-made. Look, I've had more requests for this song for us to make it available. I guess did you remix your
Are we going with the I just changed out one of the bites because you got to keep the interest. You've heard it before. There's going to be one in there that you have not heard.
So we're going to give you the longer intro to the interview, and you'll have to just endure it. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll get the video accompaniment. So it's time. Let's talk to Kristen Michael.
There has been an awakening.
No sleep till!
Have you felt it?
Wake me up! Wake up! I'm wide awake.
The fantasy footballers cannot believe it, but we are joined by Kristen Michael, the Kristen Michael from the Seattle Seahawks, who smashed it on Sunday. How are you doing today, Mr. Michael?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm blessed, man. I'm doing well. How about you?
Oh, we're doing great over here. It's great to have you on.
This is a dream come true for Mike.
Yeah, look, I've been pumping you up. I've been waiting for this opportunity for years after seeing you get drafted by Seattle. So the culmination of Sunday was great for me. So I can't even imagine how you felt.
Oh, yeah, man. I felt wonderful, man. Thanks, man. Thanks for being one of my guys. You're my guy. We got to meet soon, man. Thank you for that, man.
Absolutely. So it's been an unconventional journey for you. Last year, you got traded down to the Cowboys, spent some time in Washington, and before heading back to Seattle. And what was that like for you personally?
Man, honestly, man, it was a humbling experience, man. Definitely a lot of self-evaluation in that journey. And I just feel like it was time for me to just change, as a person, as far as my mindset, how I go about my work, how I go about my craft, my job. Man, just start doing things right. You know what I mean? And just start figuring things out, man. And that's I feel like that's why things are starting to come to flourish now.
Sure.
Just doing things right, man. Just making myself accountable, holding myself accountable, man. Being disciplined, finding myself a routine, man, and just sticking with it and doing things right, man.
Oh, it's outstanding. Did you, in that struggle, that walk last year, did you ever have any doubts of maybe my career's not going to get back on track?
Well, the thing is, man, I've always been big on faith, man, and I knew it was even my mom said, man, like my mom always told me, the only person that could stop me is myself. So I just knew, once I get myself right, man, it'll happen. I just never knew when. Going from Seattle to Dallas to Washington practice squad. Just learning a lot about myself, man, learning a lot about the game, learning a lot about how things are supposed to be done. And, man, it was just a dream come true and a blessing, man, for Seattle to give me that second opportunity. And I just figured, like, man, you might as well just put all this stuff together, man, and then just make something great out of it, man. That's just what I'm trying to do, man, and hopefully I can continue.
Oh, that's incredible, man. So flash forward, or I guess flash back to training camp. Your offensive coordinator come out. And I don't know if you realize how big this quote has become in kind of like the football community, the fantasy football community, but he came out and he said that you had an awakening. And this has been huge on Twitter. What was different, or how did you feel different, I should say, during that training camp? Did you have a specific time where you're like, it's different this time?
Talking about training camp that just passed, are you talking about?
Yeah. During the camp, if they said you're awake now.
Man, like I just mentioned, man, just figuring things out, man, just taking a day at a time. You know what I mean? Doing what those guys want me to do, man. Worrying about the details. Just trying to be a pro, man. You know what I mean? That's just learning from the older guys that's around me. Surrounded by a great group of guys, surrounded by a great group of coaches, and just learn from guys, man. No matter how old you get or how much you think you know, man, it's always good to learn, man. And I pick up from a lot of guys. I try to use it to my own situation, and I just started figuring things out, man. So I feel like it was an awakening just from the standpoint of me actually doing it. You know what I'm saying? Actually putting those things together and just using them. And it's working out well for me, man.
Right. So last week, when did Coach Carroll say, it's your time? It's your time, Michael. Rawls he's not healthy enough to go. When did you hear that you were going to start and kind of be alone in the backfield? Well, I mean, you have a couple guys, of course, but you were going to be the featured guy.
Well, it came to me last week, man. Told me to give me 20, 25 carries on, man. I said, whatever you guys give me, man, I'll work with it. You know what I mean? I'll try to help contribute to this team, man. It's a great offense, a great group of guys, young guys. So, man, I just whatever those guys give me, man, I'm gonna help contribute and work whatever I get, man, and just try to help this house offense as much as I can. You know, of course, Rawls and Marshawn was a major piece to this offense. And I'm just trying to learn from those guys, man, and hold on to what those guys are doing, man, and keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, obviously, last week you had a great matchup. I mean, not to be disrespectful of the 49ers, but they are the 49ers, you know.
Oh,
This week,
Yeah.
this week we've got the Jets, and that defensive line is very strong. So fantasy owners, they want to know, can they trust you this week going up against that D line? What do you think you can produce against them?
Thing is, man, it's all about us, man. It's not just me, man. We all on this offense, man. We all work together. Offense, the offensive line, running backs, quarterbacks, the receivers. So we all got to get the job done. We all got to get to the drawing boards, figure this team out, start getting to work on these guys early, and we'll be ready to go Sunday. So not about me, man. I just trust my guys. My guys trust me. And like I said, man, whatever those guys give me, I'm just gonna try to help contribute.
That's
That's
awesome.
what it is.
It really does seem like the guys there in Seattle, both the players and the coaches, are really starting to trust you more. So let's just say you destroy the Jets and you're running great, and Thomas Rawls takes a couple of weeks to come back. Is it a goal of yours to become the feature back, the workhorse back, or would you prefer Rawls to come in and give you some time off so that you can both be healthy? What would be your preference?
Like I said, man, those guys were Marshawn Thomas Rawls was a major, not to bring Marshawn back, but it's just what it is. Those guys was a major piece of this offense last year, man, and did an incredible job before that injury that he had, man, doing an outstanding job being the guy. I mean, my thing is, man, whenever he come back, man, it's gonna be another great piece to our offense, and a heck for just a hard thing for the defense to stop. So, man, whenever he gets back, man, we're ready for him. We excited for him, and man, ready just to get this thing rolling, man. I feel with both of us back there, man, it's just even more trouble on the defense, and I love for it to be that 1-2 punch with my guy, man. It's like my brother on and off the field. Man, we have a great relationship, and man, I like to see us do this thing together, man. Not let them tear any one of us up. Just share this thing, man, and help this offense together.
All right, man, we'll get you out of here on this one. I got to bring it up. The run, the huge run. So like we talked about Sunday, everything lined up for you to start against San Francisco. You're at home. You begin the game. You rip off a 40-plus yard touchdown run. Can you walk us through that play? What do you remember? Did anything kind of slow down and you could enjoy that moment?
Thing is, man, it actually was. It actually did feel like it was slow. It was in slow motion. I had a great. It was 19, man, running to the left outside zone, man. Got a great push by my center, walling the guy off. My left guard, my left tackle, man, cutting guys down. My right guard backside and my left tackle, man, cutting guys down. Man, it was just space, man. I just hit the hole, the wide CD gap, like my coach, like we've been doing our weekend practice, man, preparation, and it took me right there, man. So the receivers did an outstanding job blocking downfield, and man, it was easy. It was easy, man. All guys were doing their job, man, and I just finished it off, man, and it was a great run.
I can imagine, because that is going to be seared into the memory of fantasy football fans. I think you made a ton of true believers of Christine Michael on that one play. I can just from the feedback for us. I mean, we're not even you, but our fans were just they're shouting at us. Christine Michael, he is awake. I cannot believe this is happening. So it was a tremendous Sunday. Once again, thank you so much for your time, my friend. And we wish you nothing but the best moving forward. We are Arizona Cardinals fans, so we kind of hope the Cardinals beat you, but
we'll carve out a special space in our heart for you
always
on that team.
Oh, man, I love it. Thanks, guys.
Always.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, brother.
All right. Thanks again to Christine Michael for coming on this show. Really, I was really impressed. I want to talk about that for just a second because, so often you hear coach speak and you hear those type of things. And the only question that I wish we had the chance to ask him was kind of which guys maybe came alongside him. How hard was it to earn back the trust of the coaching staff? Because you have a guy who, look, we're obviously riding high on him after last week, and there are things that he does well and things he doesn't do well. But this is a long journey to get to the point where you're the starting running back of a prolific offense of a team that's depended on. He was with Marshawn Lynch. He was with Thomas Rawls. He was around those guys that did do it. I mean, what were your impressions of that interview? Because I'd love to know your thoughts before we get into the mailbag.
Oh, I'm with you. I was tremendously impressed with his responses, and I'm with you. I mean, second-round pick, clearly drafted to be a part of the Seattle offense, if not the heir apparent to beast mode, who they didn't know how much longer they had with him. It did not go that way. They eventually trade him away for nothing, for a 7th-round pick. Then he gets cut from a practice squad, and to this. So, just very, very, very impressed with of his. You know, we all can't. Sometimes crap happens to us, and we don't take that step back and say, okay, well, why is this happening? And there's a lot of players that happens to who just make boneheaded mistake after. Like right now, we have Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
I was thinking of exactly.
Who is going to look at the exact same situation where if he doesn't go Michael Jackson, take a look at the man in the mirror, I mean, he's going to blow his entire the prospects of him being in the NFL.
And that's heartbreaking because these guys build their entire lives to get there. And now you hear that Brandon Marshall's going to come alongside Austin Seferian-Jenkins. He said he already had before they even signed him.
Good for Marshall.
And that he's going to try to help him. But you have to allow help in.
Yes.
Because that's the difference between becoming a knucklehead for the rest of your career and flaming out or capitalizing on your potential. Because I think what Christian Michael did is he leaned on the physical talent and the praise of other people instead of the inner drive that you have in the pros in the NFL. So,
yeah, the only thing I would say for Christian Michael for fantasy purposes going forward, from that interview, it sounds like when Rawls gets back, it's going to be. I know that's not his choice, but it seems like they're good friends. They believe in each other, and they're going to eat into each other's workload. The next 2 weeks, you got the Jets, then you got a bye week. Okay, so if he can do something against the Jets, that's really impressive. But then he goes on bye.
And then you're probably back with Rawls.
And
you
then
could be back with
you
Rawls.
could be, and you're that way. So
I don't know, man. Hairline fracture, you got to let that heal.
I think it'll take a while. If he can make it to week 8, New Orleans Saints, Christian Michael, number 1 back.
Make it to week
if Rawls can stay out till week 9.
Yeah, depending on how bad that injury, I had that same injury that Rawls had with my leg, and it takes a while to also get over the soreness and the mental aspect of that injury. So maybe he will take longer. We'll see. But yeah, very cool to have Christian Mike on the show. Really appreciate his time. We're gonna talk. Let's preview the Thursday night game real quick, and then we'll get into the mailbag. And if the show goes a little long, whatever, man.
Yeah,
whatever. I'm awake. I can take it.
There's no rules.
There's no rules.
We make the rules.
We're
grown-ups.
That's why we eat Oreos for breakfast
every day.
All right, Miami, Cincinnati, a couple of 1 and 2 teams right now. That's the Thursday night matchup. We have Tannehill, Dalton. We have what is currently a 4 running back rotation in Miami going up against a good run defense. So this is a run defense that did not help C.J. Anderson produce anything last week. I mean, is there anybody you can start at the running back position?
No. Yeah,
if you're desperate, how are you ordering this backfield if you're desperate tonight?
You're just talking about the Dolphins, right?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, if I'm ordering it, I'm putting it Drake, then Ajayi, then Pead, then Williams. But, I mean, I'm not ordering it. I'm putting them all near the bottom of my running backs.
Jeremy Hill, who has the better game tonight? Half-point leagues.
Well, it's tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, okay.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna go with Jeremy Hill.
I'm used to talking about it on Thursday.
Yeah, the Dolphins' running defense, they're currently ranked 31st.
Is that good?
It's better than one team. Yeah. I got a guess as to who that is. I don't know for sure, but
what, the Saints?
I'm gonna guess it's the Saints.
Yeah, I think they both can have a fine game, and what I'm looking for is not that you're ever considering benching him, but AJ Green. I like this at home. I like him to bounce back. He was still okay last week against Denver, but I think this is where he can really shine. And another note for the Dolphins, for whatever reason, if you're in the Barfy tight end situation, Deion Sims will be the guy because Jordan Cameron will miss. I don't think I would advise picking him up and playing him, but you never know how deep your league is. Maybe you're in some trouble.
When I saw Deion Sims' name and said to myself, I remember Deion Sims.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Landry.
That's what I said.
Landry Parker.
I met him one day.
Yes.
That's all I remember.
Landry and Parker seem to be running away with the top 2 wide receiver spots.
Landry's always a must-start.
Parker was my terrifying start of the week last week and did enough, I think, to warrant that.
Yeah, got that touchdown right off the bat. Looked good.
So I think both of those guys are startable today. Parker more of a flex play. Landry is your normal, 2 to 1 range.
Yeah.
Obviously, the volume is always there for Landry. And if he gets in the end zone, he's a home run.
You know what is shocking is Ryan Tannehill has completed passes for 20 or more yards on 15 of his 113 attempts. That puts him 4th in the league. Ryan Tannehill, not known for going deep, currently going deep, getting big yard plays through the air.
Stills is a deep player.
Adam Gase.
Adam Gase has given him the chance to stretch the field.
So people are going to wonder.
Tannehill has an okay game tonight.
People are going to wonder between what to do with Jarvis Landry in a tough matchup.
Play him.
Yeah, and that's my recommendation as well, is play him against Seattle on the road in Seattle.
Was okay.
Edelman, Landry, they're matchup proof.
He was 7 for 60, not that great, but if you've got any kind of PPR, he's going to be fine.
All right. Clear your throat, Mike.
Mailbag.
We really need to get Mailbag into 1 or 2 extra shows a week because the drop is just, we need it out there.
Well, I'll tell you this. If you're looking for more Mailbag, we do an exclusive Mailbag episode every single week at jointhefut.com. Just throwing it out there.
That is true. We do that every Thursday, and you
Yes.
can actually
The Footcast.
subscribe to it on your podcast app as well if you're a member at jointhefut.com. All right. If you want to submit a question to the Mailbag, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, head over to the Submit a Question button, or you can dial our voicemail hotline 302-464-TFFB. Today we're going to jump into a question from Chip in Toronto. He says, yeah.
Oh, is we throwing out the bonjour?
I was waiting for a bonjour.
Oh.
Just one of the many listeners omitted when Mike references America. Thoughts on Latavius Murray and or Demaryius Thomas? Thinking of selling high on them and putting them on the trade block. A good keep trade cut might be Latavius Murray.
Sure. I would sell him. Trade him.
I would as well. I would trade him. He's been really solid this year. He's done everything we've hoped for, but his snap counts, his carry counts, they've continued to go down. And you've seen 2 really good other options. I mean, last year you had Roy Halou, who was terrible behind him.
Well, he
and
didn't
so
really play.
Well, okay, terrible for any number of reasons. But now, I mean, their tandem of rookie running backs both look legit. So I would certainly be looking to move on from Latavius.
The thing about Latavius, he's the 16th ranked running back. You look at carry counts of 14, 8, and 10, and the reason his number is so high is the touchdown total.
Yes.
He's had 1 touchdown per game. That is a candidate for a regression. And unlike 2 weeks ago where he made up for it with the 6 for 44 through the air, last week, 1 for 1 through the air.
Yep.
Saved his day with a 10 for 37 and 1 touchdown. That's all he had against Tennessee.
And I don't want to incite panic, full panic.
Sure. No, there isn't. It's not panic. You'll
still
get something.
And I think he's still a fine guy to have in your lineup, but you can't expect running back 1 numbers. Maybe someone in the league still expects that.
Noah in Knoxville. Which running back will be the best for the rest of season between Dwayne Washington, Jordan Howard, and Kenneth Dixon?
Probably Jordan Howard. But I will say if Kenneth Dixon does what we are projecting, which we are projecting, Jason and I.
A takeover?
We're projecting Dixon to take over in a couple of weeks, which puts his ceiling as the Ravens running back in a Mark Trestman offense with a good quarterback, puts his ceiling much higher than Jordan Howard. But that's, like I said, that's a projection of him taking the role, and Howard has it right now.
Yeah,
I have a really hard time, even though I like Kenneth Dixon a lot. I have a hard time seeing him. Look, they like West and Forsett.
Hey.
They like West and Forsett. They do.
I completely agree with Andy on this one. Dixon is going to have to go completely gangbusters in order to steal enough of the volume to be relevant. I do think that he becomes the starter this year, but I worry that doesn't just mean he gets everything. They still have Justin Forsett. They still have Terrence West. So I would go Jordan Howard here as well.
I mean, before the year, though, we would have said, hey, they like Buck Allen.
Yeah.
They do not.
Clearly. That question was here. This question, I thought it was from Doug Martin. It's from Bo.
Doug?
It's about Doug Martin. Should I be worried about him losing his job or losing a lot of carries to Sims when he returns?
Nope.
I'd like to answer this one. Yeah,
Sure.
with that answer. Nope, and by a lot. The difference between them on the field, all you have to do is open your eyes. They are completely different players. When I watch Doug Martin, I see an NFL upper echelon running back. When I watch Charles Sims, I see an okay between the tackles, upright, not fast to the outside, not the moves that Doug Martin displays on a weekly basis. I was affirmed of that by watching the game this past weekend that I'd be buying Doug Martin for his return.
I can agree that when Martin comes back, he would be the primary ball carrier, but I'm going to add this caveat into this question of should I be concerned when? Because I will say when/if. Doug Martin has struggled in his entire career with injuries. We know that a hamstring injury can sometimes be an entire season destroyer. So I'm just throwing out that word of caution for if you want to buy Doug Martin, understand the risks that you're buying into.
All right.
Doug Martin,
Before
Jamal
we-
Charles, rest of the season.
Ooh.
Doug Martin.
I'll take Jamal.
Before we move on from Doug Martin, I would be doing a disservice if I did not mention this, as much as I hate to mention it in front of you two. I've been trying to get Doug Martin in our league. We have an IR spot, so it doesn't hurt the bench too much to have a guy thrown on IR while we wait for him. His playoff schedule.
We've already talked about this because I said I grabbed Winston because of the playoffs.
In weeks 14, the New Orleans Saints. In week 16, the New Orleans Saints.
I was going to say, do you get double Saints?
Oh, in the playoffs. Double in the playoffs. Playoffs?
Well, some people need to be worrying about making the playoffs, and having
True,
Doug Martin
yes.
on your roster
He is
might be
not
tough.
for all trade partners.
Trey in Chicago, he jumped the gun on Gronk this past weekend, and it caused him to suffer his first loss. I think we said on the show, look, if Gronk's active, you're going to play him, and it didn't work out this week. But I still abide by that because of the barfiness of tight ends.
But read his backup.
He said, do you think Gronk will have a similar role in this week's matchup? And his backup is Dennis Pitta against Oakland. I start Rob Gronkowski again.
I start Dennis Pitta.
I think I start
Dennis Pitta, I can tell you right now, he's going to be my start of the week. He's got Oakland at home.
I already claimed him. No, I'm just kidding.
Oakland at home. I think that you could do a lot worse. And with Gronk, look,
who's throwing him the ball?
Gronk's ceiling might be higher, but if I'm Bill Belichick, seeing how
I think
little they used
it'll be
him,
Garoppolo this week.
how little they used him last week, that makes a pretty big difference.
Yeah,
whether
it
it's
does.
Brissett or Garoppolo.
You know, and the news this morning was Garoppolo still does not have full range of motion in his arm.
You don't need that.
Just saying. So it's
Not for Gronk.
I think it'll be Jacoby Beef Brisket Brissett.
Jacoby Beef Brisket Brissett.
I think it's just Beef Brissett.
All right.
I think
We'll have to work that out. Don't worry, it won't be a relevant nickname for long.
All right. Here's a trade question from Kevin in Texas. Offered a trade for Tom Brady and Brandon Marshall and Dan Bailey for Carlos Hyde, Emmanuel Sanders, and Diggs.
Oh, okay. That changes it a lot.
Hyde, Sanders, Diggs for Brady, Marshall, Bailey.
Hyde, Sanders, Diggs.
Now, I'll say in our league of record, I just traded Brandon Marshall in a 5th-round pick for Mr. Emmanuel Sanders in a 2nd-round pick because I don't like Marshall's schedule, and I need some wins in the next 4 or 5 weeks. So I went with Sanders in the pick. I think Sanders, the squeaky wheel, I think he gets enough attention. And I think, there was a question earlier about keep trade cut on Demaryius Thomas. Thomas is performing fine as Simeon learns how to play quarterback. To me, the upside of these guys, I don't think there's more downside. I think you've seen the worst you're going to get from them. That's my opinion on the two wide receivers in Denver. Now, I agree there are going to be games in which it's just defense and running game that win it, but they're two of the best in the game. They get open. They make it easy on Simeon.
Between Sanders and Diggs, if you say Sanders and Diggs for Brandon Marshall, that's a little bit team dependent, but you can play matchups with Sanders and Diggs. You're losing the Denver Broncos, but I think the big important piece here is you're losing a starting running back in Carlos Hyde, and you're not getting a running back back. It takes a very rare team this season that can withstand losing a starting running back and not getting one back because there are very few reliable-ish starting running backs this season. I would probably take the Carlos Hyde Denver Broncos, Diggs, and Sanders side of this.
Mike, let's go to Alex in Portland. Who has more long-term value as a flex play, Terrell Pryor or Jordan Howard?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I think I lean Jordan Howard, but I think it's very close simply because of what we've seen that Pryor can actually do. I don't know that you can expect Jordan Howard to ever just go full bananas and just go off like Terrell Pryor has already shown that he can do. The Cleveland offense is going to become very, very intriguing next week when Josh Gordon returns and Terrell Pryor if they mix him in at quarterback again, there could be a lot of sneaky fantasy points on that team.
Yeah, sneaky and scary and all the things.
Yeah, very scary. I agree with that.
All right, that does it for today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed the interview with Chris and Michael and everything else we had jam-packed into this episode. We've got Thursday and Friday matchup previews for the weekend for week number 4. We're in week number 4. Hopefully your waiver wires went very well and you've got yourself set up to have a strong week. We'll have all the insight, all of the injury updates, everything you need to know to stay up to date. And, of course, Mike will be on Periscope on Sunday morning as well. So we've got you covered literally all week long and all year long right here on the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes. And if you feel so obliged, leave us a review on the iTunes store. And I want to remind people, now you are grimacing, Jason. Should I ask about it or no?
No, I'm just looking at our League of Record waivers. Very, very unhappy with what my opponent has done this week.
Okay. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that after the show.
Yeah.
All right. And before we close out this podcast, I do want to remind you about what we talked about right in the middle of the show. I want to thank our sponsor, Tommy John. Again, not the surgery, the men's underwear brand.
Yeah.
We've all checked these guys out. We've talked to them. It is a great brand. You can go to TommyJohns.com/ballers and experience the life-changing comfort of Tommy John's underwear, undershirts, all of their products. You get 20% off your first order. That's TommyJohn.com/ballers for 20% off. So do not miss your opportunity to check them out. And it's a best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee over there.
And as always, check out fantasyjocks.com for those trophies and them belts.
Yeah, they just came out with some new stuff over there.
Promo code footballers.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.